thank you again for doing this interview. It means a lot, especially because me and Phoebe both like know how knowledgeable you are in this, and we wanted to really like get someone's perspective that works with these students all the time. So my first question is just, what are some challenges of educating your group of students?
I think the biggest part with education is the education field does not see them as the learners when they are.
Yeah.
It's finding different ways to teach them into their abilities, not their disabilities, and to see them as a learner and not they're labeled as the non-learners or the non-verbals and stuff like that. And so it's teaching the outside world and the education field that they are capable. They all speak different ways and they learn.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I know in one of our courses that I took last year, we talked a lot about person first language.
Yes.
So like they're not an autistic student, they're a student with autism.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Really good advice. My next question is, what are the goals of educating your group of students?
So each kid, well, there's big goals.
Yeah.
So like overall, it's just getting them to their abilities. Each kid's going to have a different set of abilities, and each kid's going to have a different set of goals that I work for them. And so it's looking at what are the goals for the parents, keeping that in mind, what I see that this child can do. That's the benefits of working with kids from birth to adults. I know that whole process and where they can and cannot, where that lacking is. And so it's really looking at each kid. What are their goals going to be? How can I help them succeed? And we're going to have setbacks. Every kid with a disability has a setback. When we have that setback, we still have to keep that goal in mind and keep pushing forward at all times. And so it's just making them be aware and be proud of themselves and succeeding.
Yeah. And I know you mentioned like the parents' goals for them as well. What role do is parent involvement in your room? Do you do conferences?
Yes. So parents, I talk with parents daily.
Oh, okay.
I have an app that I use, and it's that constant communication of, hey, they're struggling in this. They did this. Like today, I sent a video of a child who used to have severe behaviors who would physically hurt me a lot, that he was learning to keep his hands to himself, and he was doing his task that was assigned to him without any problems. And so those celebrations are really big for us. It could be just talking to a parent, reaching out if they need help, if they need a babysitter help, if they need all that kind of stuff, because people with special needs, the parents don't get a break because a lot of people won't keep them, where my staff and I kind of step in and be like babysitters and stuff like that. So it's just being that extra help and that support system for them, so that they know they're not doing this alone, that we're there for them. So it's that constant daily communication with them.
That seems really important. It's good to know. What laws and policies, and I guess practices also, influence like the educational outcomes for your students?
So my students still have to take standardized testing. So you're giving a standardized test. It starts at grade third on up, that I'm having to give them a test, and it's supposed to be adapted to them, but it's not enough. I'm having, like when you have a child who maybe functions at a 4-month-old level, and I'm having to read a whole paragraph to them and they have to answer questions about that, that's not to their ability. And so that's my biggest drawback right now, is with the education field and the government not seeing that's the drawback. Let me show you what they can do instead of documenting what they can do for the state.
What do you think is one way like that inequity could kind of be, like that gap could be bridged a little bit? Like what type of assessment, or just what do you think would best like show off their skills that they do have?
So I think it's really based on the kid and the teacher. And I know there are some teachers that do not keep the data. I'm a big data supporter. The data is going to show you where they started, where we're at midline, and where we are. That, I think, is what the state needs to take in consideration, because each kid with special needs is different. So if I'm giving the same standardized testing to all the same kid, it's not going to show anything. It's another thing for me to tell the parents, sorry, your kid's not where they need to be. Instead of saying, hey, look what they did. They went from here to here, and now we're doing this. And so if the state would use our data as representation that we are teaching. And I know that that's why we do the assessments, to see if the kids are being taught. I get it. But look at our data. The data is going to show it more than what a test is going to show it for these kids.
Because I we talk all the time, and I know you guys do at Shaw too, about like having a growth mindset, and it's just so hard to show that growth if
It is.
you're not really kind of meeting your students where they start. So
Exactly.
that makes a lot of sense. I think that's it.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yay.